All right, Shalom. I will give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh by Shem Shah, by Shem Rakah, Quadash, the Balance Apostles as GMS. This is Shalom to the brothers out here pushing his truth and sincerity. Now, this came across as something funny to me because I'm like, with how everything is going, I would not be surprised how Esau is sabotaging his own educational system to make sure he ain't trying to find to make sure that more of us don't wake up through doing our own research. Now, I say that because back when I was in school, I had this whole mindset because when I was in school, but especially during, I would say, early fourth grade all the way up to high school, I had this mindset that everything was so easy to do because I had high grades the entire time because everything was just so easy. Got to high school, I started slacking off, but of course I still had good grades. But everything was still easy for me because I'm like, why are we really doing all this extra stuff when all we need is the essential, which is reading, math. And if you want to have fun, you can do science too. Because why not? You can do. We learned a lot of things from doing science just for the fun of it, right? So let's jump back before I was going to school, especially since I used to see videos about this back then. Before, like even during my dad's age, they strive to get high grades, or at least for a good amount. For a lot of people, try to because they thought the whole premise was to go to college and get a better job. Now, learning during my time going to school that colleges wasn't technically the way to go because a lot of people still ended up at McDonald's. That drew me away from it. So I was like, I'm gonna do less work, but still had the bare minimum to pass. Now, technically, when you think about it, that is a problem because you will want to get high grades just in general, just to make sure everything's good, and then just move on with your life and get a job, right? Which even my father told me go ahead and get a career because that's the best bet instead of just going to college. Now, when you look at today's generation of how they act and everything with it, they have some upsides to where they're more aware of what to do and what not to do. But as I've been seeing nothing but videos like this where education is flopped, you can see that Esau was more likely trying to plan something with this. So, allow me to elaborate more. They have something called, and I even learned some of this from the comment board. But I remember hearing something about this called the ESSA. This was placed in. This is signed by Obama, of course, on December 10th, 2015. Now, mind you, I graduated a year before that. So getting the bare minimum was just necessary so you didn't have to go to um, summer school because it was more about tests than what this is. Now they won't go into the full detail, and I don't. But when you look more into this whole bill from right here up to now is all about mostly passing the kids. I forgot what they said. They look at more of the passing rate than the test rates now, which means if they're failing, they the whole shtick of the I think like of anything to keep them floating in these schools is to just push people that are failing, and they just getting worse and worse with it, and that's where the kids going to question. Okay, so if I'm getting pushed to the next grade instead of failing, I don't really need to do anything. I can just have the teacher just sit here and talk about whatever, fail, and still get passed without any type of repercussions. Because our biggest thing was summer school. Summer school is the one thing we hated. We wanted our summer off. The kids don't have to worry about that now. So this is Micah 6:12. Before I read into this, it says, "For the rich men thereof are full of violence, and the inhabitants thereof have spoken lies, and their tongue is deceitful in their mouth." Now we know Esau is in control of all this. Now it says there, and the inhabitants thereof have spoken lies. What are these lies that are pretty much passed around? Well, let's read this a bit. We want to jump down to the ESSA, which is called the Every Student Succeeds Act. Every student succeeds, which means no one fails, right? Now, here's a lies that I've even been witnessing when I look up certain videos behind this. Because before this, I was looking up some other stuff with it. It says advances equity by upholding critical protection for Americans disadvantaged and high need students. Which, when you want to go into those words, when it means disadvantaged and high need, they're talking about the special needs. Granted, I was part of them, but that was only because of a hearing disability, but not because of learning. It says requires for the first time that all students in America be taught to high academic standards that will prepare them to succeed in college and careers. Ensures that vital information is provided to educators, families, students, and communities through annual statewide assessments that measure state students' progress toward those high standards. Right. Helps to support and grow local innovations, including evidence based and place based interventions developed by local leaders and educators. Let's see. Sustains and expands administrative historic investment in increasing access and to high quality preschool. Now, a lot of these, when you read about it, is pretty much all the opposite of what's actually going on. So, passing every child that basically fails, it basically has a hindrance to a lot of things. Now, what this also promotes is being a good, having less thinking, more obedience. Because that's what majority of jobs are pretty much looking for. You don't really have to do a whole lot besides listen to your supervisor or what you're taught and be and what to do. So with that, that wipes out teachers having to tell students to do your own research, because that was the primary thing that my history teacher told me about back in school. Do your research. Never knew I would actually end up in the truth actually doing research. Funny how that works, but that's the Lord's doing. But with this, Esau is hoping to have less thinkers, less people questioning and waking up to this truth, and by crippling his own education. But newsflash, that doesn't stop anything. If they understand in the spirit bear witness, they'll cross over and they'll actually be taught right. They'll be taught how to read and write, and if they don't even end up being a prophet, they'll be a help, and they will out of sincerity, and they can still be saved that way. See, Esau hoping to stop every plan that the Lord set up, but it doesn't work. Never works that way either. That's why it's always hilarious that the education system has always been low, believe it or not. Because before, and I think this was even going on back when school first started for a lot of people. I'm talking about like way back then. When it came to American education, all the other countries had higher education. So while the education plummeted here, other countries' education skyrocketed. That's why when if for anybody that ever had like a foreigner coming to that school for a bit of time, and you talk to them, they'll want you wonder how y'all already know all this stuff, and they'll tell you they in your mind you'll be in fourth grade. They'll say that they learned this in second grade, which means their education is much higher. They are sent here to complete a course, not gain education. So their family can own basically own a shop for a good amount of time, even until even the son grows or the child grows up and takes over that shop, while the father moves on to another shop, and then the cycle continues as they generate more money doing this. Mind you, we are there for an education, not a course. We are not taught how to manage money. We ain't taught how to make a business unless you end up getting a class for that, but that's not till way later. And even then, they don't tell you how to do it right. So they're not teaching us about credit, but these other countries are. These other countries are taught all these things that we're not taught and more. So you have to wonder why is that? But we already know why. It always leads back to Esau. He's always 20 steps ahead, while the people are 20 steps back, never catching up. But the elect is always on Esau's heels. It's just a matter when that prophecy kicks in. Well, when all the prophecies are finished for his downfall. So this is the last scripture right here. This is Acts 26:16. It says, "But rise and stand upon thy feet, for I have appeared unto thee for this purpose, to make thee a minister and witness both of these things which thou hast seen, and of those things in the which I will appear unto thee, delivering thee from the people and from the Gentiles, unto whom now I send thee, to open their eyes, and to turn them from darkness to light, from the power of Satan unto Yahweh, that they may receive forgiveness of sin and inheritance among them which are sanctified by faith that is in me." So the Lord can wake up anybody disabled as he wants, which I wouldn't be surprised, which I'm pretty sure there is some disabled brothers in this truth, but it doesn't stop us. It doesn't stop anybody. If someone's that spirit resonates, it all comes together. We all come with we all come with a problem in our life, whether that's from group home, lack of hearing, lack of understanding, or at least as far as in the education department, as far as in schools, or just in from a medical disability, you name it. We probably had gang members that left that life and wanted to cross wanted to start over. So none of this is actually new. We had when you look back at the stories, um, what was it? Who was it? I'm trying to remember. The the I forgot the word. Eloquent, I think it's the word. Yeah, Moses wasn't. It was Moses, I think. That was called that. But that was saying that he did not have an eloquent um, speech or eloquent language. But there you have it. So whether you're too slow or too fast or whatever does not make a difference. So that's all I wanted to go into with that because I was like, this is no surprise with all things going on. They had to downgrade everything. This place is coming to a close, basically. At this point, it doesn't matter if you can't read it or speak it. If the Lord ordained you to the side, you'll find a way. So, little one with that, this was a little edifying with that. Shalom.